Good evening. This is March 19th, 2023, public hearing. This public hearing is being held pursuant to Section 465 of the Local Government Act. All members of the public will be given a reasonable time to be heard or to present written submissions respecting matters contained in the bylaw that is the subject of this hearing. All information, correspondence, petitions, or reports that have been received by noon today concerning the subject bylaw have been circulated to council and are available to the public as part of the meeting package. Staff will provide the report, followed by an opportunity for the applicant to speak. Members of the public who have pre-registered to speak have been added to the speakers list in the order that requests were received. Those pre-registered will be provided the opportunity for public comment according to the order on the speakers list, followed by comment from those who have not pre-registered. Anyone who is not pre-registered can still attend council chambers and wait to speak following those on the speakers list, or alternatively can electronically participate by calling the conference line during the live hearing at 778-907-2071 and entering meeting ID 506-489-9374 and passcode 485186. Speakers will be asked to state their name and civic address. Please note that all representations, whether written, verbal, or electronic, are available to the public for viewing as part of the public record. Remarks will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker and should include all the relevant information in their presentation. Further opportunity will be afforded to all members of the public to speak a second or third time with new information only, once all persons have had an opportunity to speak. Council may ask questions of staff, the applicant, and the public, but once the public hearing is over, no new information can be received. Council debate on the bylaw will take place during the regular council meeting following the conclusion of the public hearing. At that time, any questions of staff will be for clarification purposes only. The corporate officer will now provide information on the notice of this public hearing.
Thanks, Mayor Holmes. Notice of the public hearing was given by posting on the notice board at Municipal Hall and on the district's website, as well as advertising in the Summerland Review issues of March 7th and 14th. In addition, 16 notices were mailed to owners and occupiers of surrounding properties on March 1st, and the district has received 0 written submissions with regards to this application.
Okay, thank you. So if I could ask the planning technician to introduce the item.
Yes, good evening, Council. This public hearing presentation is for an OCP amendment and zoning bylaw amendment located on the properties of 14003 and 14009 King Avenue. Thank you, Kendra. Can you see it? Greg gets up. Thank you, Greg. It's okay. Okay, the current land use is administration, and within our official community plan, the application is actually requesting to change this to low density intensification. An administration correction has been applied to this official community plan bylaw number 2024-012. The original bylaw referenced Schedule B, which describes our urban growth boundary. However, this bylaw should actually reference Schedule C, which is a use within the OCP. Both properties are zoned institutional. This zone is best suited to schools, churches, and museums. The 2 lots mentioned today, although owned by the Catholic Church, are both used as residential dwelling lots and should be zoned as such. This is the proposed lot line adjustment. The blue line represents the existing rear lot line boundary of 14003 and 14009 King Avenue. The boundaries are part of the church parking lot and are used as parking stalls. The red line indicates the new property line. This move will allow a total separation of the church and the residential lots, allowing easier severance in future property sales. This table shows a comparison between the current zone and the proposed zone. As you can see, these are vastly different due to the intended uses of each. This is the view from Quinpool looking south down King Avenue for 14009, and here 14003 at the end of King Avenue. This photograph better shows why the applicant is requesting a lot line boundary adjustment within this OCP and rezoning amendment. The black line depicts the existing property line included in the car park of the church, and the red line will be the rear property line. So to summarise, rezoning to a residential designation will allow for possible additional housing units and consistent with surrounding neighbourhoods. It complements objectives of our goals of Bill 44 and provincial guidelines for increased infill development. The boundary adjustment allows separation from the church title and simplifies any redevelopment. We've lost it again, Greg. Oh, there is, the resolution is there. Okay. Oh, that's fine. Sorry, I apologize.
And there's the applicant's not here, I presume? No. Any members of the public would like to speak to this pub? We don't have anybody online? I'll call a second time if anybody would like to speak. Third time, anybody like to speak? Council, any questions of staff? No? Okay, I'll call this public hearing closed. I'd like to call to order the regular evening council meeting for March 19th, 2024. This meeting is being recorded live and is streaming on the District of Summerland YouTube channel. All representations to the council, written or verbal, will form part of the public record and be available to the public for viewing electronically or as a written record. Corporate officer, any late items? No late items. Can I approval of the agenda, please? Councillor Van Elfen, Councillor Betts, all in favor? That carries. Consent agenda. Would anybody like to remove anything from the consent agenda? Let's see anything. Get approval of the consent agenda, please. Councillor Betts, Councillor Van Elfen, all in favor? That carries. And now the bylaw from the public hearing we just had. And I don't think we have to pass this back to the planning technician, but we might now have a recommended motion to go up. I'll turn this over to any member of council who would like to discuss this or bring it forward. Councillor Van Elfen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll bring forward the staff recommendation.
We'll just try and get that up. That's to approve the rezoning and lot line adjustment. Second by Councillor Peak. There it is on the screen. Any discussion? Councillor Betts.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to take the opportunity to say that it seems like a pretty common sense rezoning. I can understand that for institutions that are holding large amounts of land, that they might want to be able to rezone and move forward with smaller parcels and pay for their operations in different manners. So for that reason, I support this.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any others. I'll call the question. All in favor? That's none opposed. That carries. Move on to the next item, which I believe is my report, plus my agenda. 6.1, Mayor's Report. So first off, thank you to Deputy Mayor Trainer for taking charge while I was away for a few weeks last month. Since my return, there has been a lot of activity with the Okanagan Basin Water Board. At our regular board meeting on March 6th, we heard from Lisa Scott from the Okanagan and Similkameen Invasive Species Society on their invasive mussel outreach work. The OBWB contracts Oasis to take its Don't Move a Mussel campaign to boaters, yacht clubs, retailers, and others. Last year, they interacted with more than 3,000 people at boat launches, community events, and youth camps. They also collected 131 water samples from 5 lakes in the region. And fortunately, all tests results came back showing no signs of mussels, invasive mussels. However, invasive quagga mussels are now in the Columbia River Basin in Idaho. And so they are moving ever closer to British Columbia. And with added concern that the federal government may reduce or cancel its funding to support the provincial invasive mussel defense program, the OBWB hosted the first meeting of a new Okanagan Interior Invasive Mussel Working Group that was held on March 8th in Kelowna. And it included about 100 representatives from local governments, the provincial government, First Nations, Chamber of Commerce's, tourism groups, marina operators, watershed groups, and anybody interested in protecting our lakes. The meeting included a lot of brainstorming, and a lot of good ideas emerged on what more can be done to prevent zebra and quagga mussels from arriving in BC, how to stop their spread should they arrive, and how to prepare for their potential arrival. Still on the OBWB, on March 14th, I attended the International Environmental Flows Conference in Kelowna that was organized by the OBWB and the Canadian Water Resources Association. This conference was a follow-up to one held in 2018 after the province passed the Water Sustainability Act, which required that environmental flow needs for fish and a healthy ecosystem be considered in water licensing decisions. The 2018 conference developed recommendations on how to set and improve environmental flows in creeks and rivers, while last week's conference was about how environmental flows relate to drought, flood, and fisheries management. It brought together more than 200 representatives from national and international organizations involved in water management or research, including First Nations, local government, regulators, academia, and nonprofits. On March 7th, Councillor Van Elfen and I attended the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen board meeting, where we received the results of 4 after-action reviews from the 2023 wildfire season. Areas identified for improvement included better defining the roles and responsibilities of the various organizations operating in multi-jurisdictional emergencies, and coordination with Indigenous partners and neighboring jurisdictions such as the Regional District of the Central Okanagan, particularly with the emergency support services. This and other recommendations have been incorporated into the RDOS's 2024 Emergency Management Program Work Plan. The District of Summerland has held a number of public open houses recently. On March 12th, I attended one in regards to the food waste organics collection. And on March 5th, it was one for proposed amendments to the official community plan stemming from the Downtown Neighborhood Action Plan. These public face-to-face interactions are essential for the democratic process. They are the best way for the community to provide its input on difficult or important council decisions, and they will become even more important as new provincial legislation reduces the opportunity for public hearings and public participation at council meetings. Finally, this past Saturday, March 16th, Councillor Peak and I attended the Arts Council AGM, where I had the pleasure of announcing that the Summerland Community Arts Council is the 2023 recipient of the Mayor's Award of Excellence. Since 1968, The Arts Council has served a vital role in Summerland's cultural, social, and economic development. By engaging the community in the arts either as participants or as audience, the organization consistently responds to local needs and helps to create our town character and vibrancy. It showcases local artists with exhibits and performances, including the popular Music in the Park every Wednesday during the summer. For our youth, there's the long-running summer arts program, Pro D-Day camps, and Saturday drawing classes. The Awesome Arts program is a new initiative dedicated to providing art opportunities to people with diverse development abilities, giving a voice to community members who often struggle to be heard. Community partnerships have contributed much to the Arts Council's success, including their partnership with the District of Summerland to produce the colorful street banners that go up around town every summer. And as a natural progression, they will produce the new Christmas banners to be put up during the festive season. Another partnership with the district was, of course, the renovation of the old library building to create the George Riga Arts and Cultural Center. The Arts Council was and still is the driving force behind making the center such an important cultural space for the community. The Arts Council is a special organization with an impressive track record. For the invaluable service it provides to the community, I'm pleased to name the Summerland Community Arts Council as this year's recipient of the Mayor's Award of Excellence. That's my report. Yeah, well done, Ars. And I'll pass it on to the CEO for his report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure I'm going to say anything that gets applause tonight, but we'll give it a shot here. So work continues at the location of the new pier with pile driving happening on site. At this rate, we will be able to get all the piles in place before our environmental window closes, after which time we can start on the superstructure. Initially, it will be a basic pier, and hopefully the public will be enjoying that pier this summer. We will target an official opening for July 1st. There are a lot of things happening on the community engagement front these days. We have open houses for the Eco Village site, organics waste collection, and on changes to the official community plan regarding the downtown. Folks that were not able to make the initial sessions will have further opportunities to participate and are encouraged to keep an eye out on the district website and Facebook for more information. On that note, a public survey to collect feedback on the Eco Village zone is currently underway, and that remains open until tomorrow. And on Thursday this week, we will have the second open house on the official community plan changes from 3 to 7 p.m. at the George Riga Center. It's a drop-in style event, so feel free to come by at any time during that period to learn more. The residential organics collection project will begin on April 2nd, and we have been delivering kitchen catchers with several information sheets to help residents understand this program and how it interacts with the waste collection and our recycling program. Although we have already had 2 open houses, we are planning 2 more once the collection begins to continue to answer any questions people have as we move into the implementation phase. As of March 1st, 2024, the snow survey showed that Summerland Reservoir, the headwaters, was at 80%, and Eisentalk Lake was at 91% of their historic averages. Staff will continue to gather snow data at these 2 provincial sites within the district watershed every month until no snow remains. Now, while snowpack levels are a bit below normal at this time, our many reservoirs are still expected to fill completely. April and May are also known for rain in Summerland, often translating into snow in the higher elevations of the watershed. And staff regularly monitor the dams and meet routinely to discuss snow and water levels and whether outlet flow adjustments are required to compensate for anticipated incoming water volumes. Finally, just a heads up that we started street cleanup on Monday, March 11th. on streets near the lake first and eventually working up to the higher elevations. The bulk of the cleanup work starts on April 2nd when additional street sweeping equipment will be available, which will then accelerate the cleanup process. It's estimated that it will take 4 additional weeks to complete the cleanup within the district's 175 kilometers of roads. When there is a heavy sand, it may take multiple passes and or even coming back to finish on a separate day with the final sweep on your street. And we do ask for everyone's patience on the road when equipment is working and also for the safety of our staff. And with that, I wrap up my report.
Okay, thank you. Council, any questions for the CEO or myself? No? Okay, so move on to the public comment opportunity for any agenda item except 9.1 and 9.2, I guess. No, don't see any. No bylaws for adoption, no business arising. Oh, where am I? Oh, development reports 9.1, sorry, jumping ahead. Planning technician, Ms. Tui. This is a development variance permit for 11126 Ackland Street.
Thank you. Our next presentation is for a development variance application at 11126 Ackland Street. And this is to allow a new single-family dwelling to be sited within an exterior side setback. The property is designated low-density residential intensification, mirroring the whole neighbourhood surrounding it. And the site is zoned RSD1, our residential medium lot zoning. The subject property was subdivided from its parent lot, 11118 Ackland Street, in 2023. The original site plan submitted and part of the subdivision met all zoning requirements, including the 4.5 metre exterior setback. Now at construction stage, the applicant wishes to expand the width of the house to achieve their desired design. These are the renderings of their desired house plans for their side view. On this photograph, the black line indicates where the property was subdivided, leaving the west lot to be developed. You can just see beyond the fire hydrant 2 property pins indicating the lot boundary and the setback from the fire hydrant which was achieved. As aforementioned, all other zoning requirements have been met by the applicant. The variance request is minor in nature, but our development procedures bylaw requires staff to bring forth an application to council when one note of objection is submitted by a member of public. This application did in fact receive one such correspondence from a landowner further down Ackland Street to the east. By designing the house on Ackland Street in this manner, staff do not foresee any residential views being impacted, and form and character of the surrounding neighbourhood have been taken into consideration with their design. With the increase of road dedication taken by the district, no line of sight issue will be created and adheres to all other minimum requirements of the zoning bylaw. With that said, staff are recommending the approval of this variance as presented here, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Council, questions? Councilor Barton?
So the new regulations that are coming in, they this wouldn't be required at all then, I guess, if it was 6 months from now.
Councillor Backwell through the mayor, yes, you're correct. Obviously, the new amendments haven't been sworn in yet, but as they're going, most probably.
Councilor Peak?
I might note that was an internal comment about the fire hydrant. Was there determination on whether there was a difficulty or needed relocating?
To Councillor Peake through the mayor. No, it doesn't need to be relocated. They designed the subdivision so it wouldn't impede any problems or have to be relocated.
Councillor Betts?
I would be happy to bring forward the staff recommendation.
Approve the variance. Second by Councillor Van Elfen. Any further discussion or questions? I'll call the question. All in favor? It's none opposed. That carries. Moving along to OCP amendment for Ward Street property. Ms. Toohey.
Okay, so this application is for an official community plan and zoning amendment at 10919 Ward Street. As indicated here, the subject property is currently designated low-density residential intensification, and the applicant wishes to change to low-density residential. To allow the project to proceed, the property requires to be rezoned to our duplex housing zone. This map depicts the district's urban growth boundary as it stands today. Within these areas, the goal is to provide infill development, differing ranges of housing choice, and create complete communities. This is a rendering of the proposed development, with 2 duplexes being placed on the lot and subdivided in the future into 2 parcels. Although rezoning to duplex housing allows the project to go ahead, the applicant requires 3 site-specific requests to fulfil the design on a lot of this size. They wish to reduce the minimum lot area, the width, and the rear setback as stated here. The green outline indicates the front yard spacing, and this was adapted to break up the parking frontage and a softer streetscape for the design. As today's bylaws are, this project would require 2 parking stalls per unit, and so 8 are required. Such design and parking and access points do not actually conform with our driveway access bylaw, and so a variance will be required. This is another rendering of the design of the buildings and a side view. As you can see here, the 2 units have been stepped back from each other, reducing massing and giving a differing viewpoint for outdoor space and shadowing. The main comments that came from our internal departments were from the fire department and questions regarding access to the side and middle of the buildings if ladders were required. No external partners had any comments or concerns during this circulation. On January 26th, the application was presented to the Advisory Planning Commission. As you can see, many of the questions were how this development will align with the new provincial regulations. Thereafter, the resolution was carried unanimously. The developer also held an information meeting on the 27th of February. 13 people attended this, and the noted questions regarding construction timelines, why they were demolishing a newly renovated home, and possible price points of the new buildings. To put this development in perspective, although the district has not adopted the new zoning bylaw changes due to Bill 44, it is expected that this proposal will be a typical type of development allowed within the low-density residential designation areas within Summerland. And with that, I put to council the following recommendation and happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, council? Councillor Peake.
Thank you very kindly, Mr. Chairman. Can you show me where the parking actually goes on these units?
to Councillor Peake through the mayor. So as you can see from this site plan, parking is in blue. This is a redesign. The initial parking was all situated, all 8 stalls along the front of the building. During consultation, they decided to redesign the parking and configuration. And so they decided to put the green space at the front to soften the design, and then amalgamate the parking in the form that you see here.
So if I may, then so at the top of the picture, those 2 parking places then go to the housing unit at the back. I'm going to talk about it as the back. I like breaking it up and have the softening of some green areas in between. So that make good sense. And then I can see where garbage containers and recycling would be going. Nice and easy for pickup on the front of the street. So, and my other, just sort of because I had to take my magnifying glass to look at this closely. These are all family homes, so they're 3-bedroom homes, which is just wonderful. They've got 1 bedroom down the main floor, and then they've got a 2nd bedroom and a main bedroom upstairs. So they're a great design. They'll allow for a good number of people to be happily housed. Thank you very much.
Councillor Patton.
Thank you, Your Worship. This might be a question for Brad. And Shannon, you probably could answer it, but as we move forward with Bill 44 and with the 4 units going on a single lot, are we also looking at changing the number of entrances for the driveway bylaw so that these variances aren't coming forward also on these intensifications? Thanks.
Through your worship to Councillor Pat, yes, to answer your question. This actually was kind of convenient timing for us that this proposal came forward from this developer to kind of review it with our works department and consider proposed changes that may be required. This is kind of where we can expect in terms of the type of form of development that could occur on a traditional single family lot within our urban residential areas. So allowing up to 4 units, which is now the province is requiring. So we need to be able to accommodate the parking. So we have made some proposed changes. You'll see that actually in the council, the whole meeting package, there was one attachment on proposed amendments to the driveway access bylaw. And previously, although it's not the subject of this rezoning, previously our bylaw restricted 1 access per residential lot. Now we're allowing more than 1 access per residential lot, given this kind of situation, but having a minimum spacing between each access point so that we could have room for garbage collection as well as a lawn space, and that it's a defined entry point for an access to the property. So that is one tweak we're making to the driveway access bylaw to reduce the variances coming forward.
Thank you.
Councillor Barkwell.
So with respect to the changes in Bill 44 that we discussed this afternoon, this is an example of a fourplex. So we'll only have 1 parking spot per unit. So if this was 6 months from now, this would have to be built with only 4 parking spaces instead of 8.
If I can take that one through your worship to Councillor Barkwell. Yes, like that, it was our initial proposed amendments. It'd be 1 stall per residential unit for this would be a duplexes, 2 duplexes. Now the developer could construct more than that if they feel that there is a market or a need to construct more than that. But yes, then the minimum requirement would be 4.
And just sort of following up the discussion about consultation, this is an example where discussion with I don't know where the idea came from, but discussion by the developer with residents that the design was altered and to the satisfaction of everybody, which wasn't a necessarily required design alteration, but just a better idea that came through the discussion, which I think we should maintain.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Peak.
So when I look at fire separation, again, these are very small, but so we don't, fire department can get down between these homes, should they be fighting fires? And I can see at the side, they've got lots of room to get down, but this is all reviewed by the fire department.
Councillor Peak through the mayor. Yes, the fire department, they did voice concerns, and we have discussed with them, obviously with the new requirements coming down and the new BC building code being reviewed, that they are going to have to marry each other and mirror each other for the requirements. This one does meet it because of the width on either side. And that's why they're not conjoining in the middle, and they actually have a laneway right down the middle.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Could you explain to me more for the fact that this is something that will be changing with Bill 44, the density in terms of on hectares? Could you just explain that density difference for us?
I think Brad would want to speak to that one.
Brad, sorry.
Through your worship to Councillor Peak, normally we can constrain density on our residential zoned properties through a floor area ratio. So that's a calculation of the amount of floor that can be allowed in a building, floor area, based on the total area of the parcel. And so that really prescribes the total amount of density that in terms of floor area that can occur on a property. In terms of proposed changes, for the that's actually something we didn't talk about this morning, the RU1 and the RU2 zone. We're recommending at the staff level, again, this is not the subject of this rezoning, but we're recommending that we don't have a floor area ratio because it would be another restriction for flexibility to try to achieve 4 units. And there's already going to be site coverage to a maximum of 50%, and also setbacks and parking, et cetera, to restrict the buildable area of a parcel within these single family residential areas. So primarily those would be the different zoning regulations that will constrain the footprint of the building as opposed to floor area ratio.
Thank you very much, Brad. Could you reiterate the hectare density that the change that the bill is making for us?
Well, just to clarify to the public, anyone listening, so yeah, we are required by the province to allow for 4 residential units on all residential lots that have access to the district's utility services. So there's sewer facilities as well as water facilities. But that is also within our urban growth boundary. And so this property, it's fairly close to the downtown. It is definitely subject to Bill 44, and we must now allow for 4 residential units on this property.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Betts.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this definitely, my question lines up with that. So understanding that the duplex zone is now going to be moved into our new zones, with these variances, does this proposal meet the new requirements prescribed by the multi-unit housing Bill 44, even with the requested variances? Does it fit into the new framework?
To Councillor Betts through the mayor. It does in theory, because obviously we haven't adopted any of our new zoning bylaws, and we are still in discussions, as we've seen this morning. So I can't say definitely in case discussions change what staff have laid out. But as it stands, yes, this would conform to the density, it would conform to the setbacks. In fact, they could go closer, most probably. And it conforms with the coverage, and in some ways it actually is under the lot coverage.
Thank you. That I think most closely answers my question as to understanding how the two interact. Thank you.
Councillor Van Alphen.
Move the staff recommendation, Mr. Mayor.
That's to take it to public hearing, first and second reading. Second, Councillor Trainer. Any further discussion? I'll call the question then. All in favor? And that's not opposed. So I'll come to a public hearing on April 9th in 3 weeks' time. If we were under our old meeting schedule, it'd be 5 weeks' time. So it's good public service, good customer service for that developer. Moving on to bylaws, no bylaws for adoption, no business arriving, notices of motion. Anybody have a notice of motion? No? Councillor reports. Anybody have a report? Councillor Van Alphen.
Not a whole lot to report. Grateful Spring is here, and did attend the first compost event meeting at the George Riga Center, and our very own Councillor Betts has another career in movie star. Very well done video, but yeah, it was really well done. Cam did an exceptional job, and the people were really receptive, and I was really impressed. Staff did great. And then I attended the Eco Village one also, and there was some good points brought up, but I had an opportunity to talk to some younger developers in our community that were quite excited and that are building that type of product as we speak. So they're really excited about it. So anyways, 2 good meetings, and thank you.
Yeah, certainly when Mr. Vaughn explains the whole organic collection process and rationale, and it makes a lot of sense. Councillor Peak.
Thank you very kindly, Your Worship. I wanted to reiterate being at the Art Council AGM. It was well attended. They have added 2 new directors. They did an ad in the newspaper and got 2 new directors, somebody fresh from Ontario, not too long in Summerland. So you can find people. They might be hiding in the cracks, but they are out there. And it was very nice that the mayor was able to make himself available to do the presentation on the award. And the Art Council they were really impressed at receiving that award, and they thought it was lovely that it happened. And then we were invited downstairs to the opening of the next gallery show, and that was a lovely time as well. I also attended both the organic sessions. I want to say that the people that attended these sessions had wonderful questions. Cam did a great job and has a very understated sense of humor. He did a really good job with it. But the participants came out and they were reflective of the ideas. They had cogent questions. The second open house was actually higher attendance than the first. So I was very pleased at the attendance from the public. I thought it was a very well done program. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you. Anyone else? No, don't see any. Public comment period. Anybody have to make a comment? Come up, please.
Hi, Council. Brad Besler. We need to have a serious talk. One of your biggest responsibilities on council, if not the biggest, is oversight of the CAO. And in Summerland, that's Graham's stat. There are legitimate concerns in the community that Graham Stat is using district resources and time for his private pharmaceutical consulting and that he's not being truthful about it. Just so you understand, there are multiple videos online that show Graham Stat was conducting private pharmaceutical consulting in his district hours during district workdays and hours in 2023. Graham Stat said that he's never done pharmaceutical consulting during his district work hours, and he's publicly said that his holiday time is pre-approved. Deputy Mayor Aaron Trainer further confirmed that Graham Stat's holiday time is approved by the mayor. So it's essential that the mayor publicly release the timestamped documents that prove which specific days Graham Stat was granted holiday time in 2023. Graham Stat set the standard for firing an employee in 2022 when he said that being untrustworthy was just cause for dismissal. So if Graham Stat was being untrustworthy with Summerland residents and council, then he needs to be fired too. This is a serious issue of credibility, and Summerland residents deserve the truth. You say transparency is a core principle at the district. So Mayor, I'm asking, will you publicly release the timestamped documents from 2023 that show which specific days you pre-approved for Graham Stat's holiday time? Will you release that publicly? Are you finished? Can you please provide an answer?
Your time is up. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Please come to the podium, sir.
Neil Andrews, 10920 Ward Street. In regards to the proposed amendments for 10919 Ward Street, just want to make council fully aware that
Just to chime in, the time for public comment opportunities statutorily will be during the public hearing. So those comments will have to wait until then for this proposal.
okay.
So sir, that'll be April 9th. That's the public hearing date. And that's when anybody can come and speak to that.
And is that afternoon or evening?
It'll be even 6 o'clock. Anyone else? Public comments? Don't see any. If I get a motion to adjourn, please. Councillor Van Elfen, Councillor